Anyhow, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Oilers. So I just finished watching Canada versus Denmark in the World Hockey Championships. So right off the bat, Nurse, Holloway, Connor Brown, and Cam Talbot, they're having an excellent 3 games. Well, Talbot's only had 1 start, but it was a shutout. So Bouchard has had 1 good game and 2 average games thus far. What's interesting about Team Canada and Bouchard is while he's listed as a defenseman, he's playing a winger's role. When the puck is in the offensive zone, a forward will often drop back to the blue line, and Bouchard is playing where you would normally see Ovi, Leon, and other scoring wingers, or even down behind the opponent's net. So he's down in that behind the net up to the hash marks or the face-off dot in that little range there when the puck's in the offensive zone. He's not actually playing defense. And I found that really, really interesting. Seems Team Canada has decided the best way to limit Bouchard's defensive gaffes is to position him as a forward in the offensive zone. And I got to admit, it makes sense and it does seem to be working. You know, I mean, nobody ever denies Bouchard's offensive ability. It's his defense that anyone with any sense complains about. So it looks like Team Canada has figured out how to kind of hybrid him. He's defense up until you hit the offensive blue line, and then he's a winger more. Like he'll still be on the blue line for the big shot from time to time, especially on the power play, but he's more of a winger role. And I find that fascinating. And I can't help wonder if Knobloch was smart enough, how would that have changed things this past season? Because we saw, like, in the playoffs, Bouchard cost us 2 games with his defensive gaffes. And then Wallman cost us 1 of the games. So there was only 1 game that wasn't connected to our 2 offensive defensemen. So, like I said, I find it fascinating. As for the other Oilers, Ekholm and Howard seem to be garnering praise. I haven't watched either of their games, so I can't sit here and tell you they're doing great or doing bad or anything. But the commentary I'm hearing, you're hearing a lot of praise for Howard and a lot of praise for Ekholm. As for Szymanski, unfortunately, I haven't heard his name mentioned once. He's on the German team, and I haven't heard his name once, but Germany's their bottom 2 team, especially without Leon. So that may be more about the team he's on than anything else. Speaking of Nurse, the Toxics and the local media in massive overdrive to force Nurse out of Edmonton. Like, it's just gone to a fever pitch. It's ridiculous, but none of them can actually explain why they want this so badly. They want it. Gotta repeat what Bob Stauffer keeps saying. But damn, are they determined. And they all want a 4th offensive defenseman to replace him. If I had a wooden wall to bang on, I'd use that. Well, no one said they were smart. And with Bowman's lack of spine, I now think we will see a trade happen. Darnell has already said no to being traded to Toronto, so thankfully that's off the table. But word is there's a lot of interest out there for Nurse, partly because he is an elite 2-way defenseman that brings leadership and physicality, and partly because the Toxics, the local media, and Bowman have absolutely diminished his worth. So teams know they can get Bowman to basically give him away at a bargain basement deal. And, for somebody like Darnell, if you can get him for half his worth, why wouldn't you? It's a no-brainer. So what trade is interesting to me? I found out the rumored San Jose trade interesting. San Jose needs to beef up their defense, and Nurse most definitely does that for them. If you've watched my regular season videos, I think San Jose is only 1 to 2 seasons from becoming a contender. Not a playoff team, but a contender. So this could be an early Christmas gift if they land Darnell Nurse. The cost? Well, as I said, the Toxics, the local media, and Bowman have done everything possible to undercut Darnell's value. So San Jose could land him for well below the market value. If this trade happened, I would expect something along these lines. Nurse to San Jose, Edmonton gets a 3rd-round draft pick, some AHL defenseman prospect. I don't know what San Jose has in their system, so but I'm sure they have a prospect because they've been a bottom feeder for a few years now, so they've had some good draft picks and everything. And Edmonton retains $2 to $3 million of a season of Darnell's contract. You can't bash a player nonstop and expect full value back, but this would open up $6.5 to $7.5 million a season in cap space for the Oilers. The one wrinkle is the top two coaches' names being thrown around are Cassidy and Berube, and both of them would not like losing Nurse from their lineup because both value physicality on their back end. So it's interesting times. Like, does Darnell get traded? And does that trade affect what coach we can get? Because if you're coming in as your coach and your general manager is such a wimp that he's giving away in my mind, your number 2 defenseman, but in most everyone else's mind, number 3 defenseman, and he's just giving them away for basically nothing, what's your prospect for the future going to look like? Like that's a big part coming in, is not just the money, but what team are they going to get? And Bowman's gone out of his way to say he's not going to change the team much. So what you got last year is probably what we're going to have next year. You're moving Nurse from that equation, and it's an even worse team. So yeah, interesting times. Also, tonight is Game 7 of the Buffalo-Montreal. I'm filming this on Monday, May 18th. As I said before, I'm cheering for Ryan McLeod, Hall, and Kulak. So go Buffalo, go. Hall and Kulak have already advanced to the third round, so crossing fingers for Ryan McLeod. And again, all 3 of those players should still be Edmonton Oilers. They should be. I don't buy into this whole cheer for Montreal crap because they're Canadian. I have no connections with Montreal. I have a connection with Ryan McLeod. So go Buffalo, go. Really, all there is to it is not that I'm a Buffalo fan or a Carolina fan or even a Colorado fan. It's just they have players that I enjoyed watching and should still be Oilers. If we're being very honest about it, all 3 of them should still be Oilers. Think about it. Team Canada, Hockey World Championships. Who's not there? Matt Savoy. Wasn't invited. Could Matt Savoy have used the experience? Oh, God, yes. Wasn't invited. Ike Howard got invited to the American team because the American team is quite soft this year, but, that's going to... I thought all season that Ike should have been up here ahead of Savoy anyway, so that's only going to help him. But, yeah, it's just, we should have Ryan McLeod still on this team because Matt Savoy and Ryan McLeod are third-line players. But Ryan McLeod hits all those boxes that you need from a third-line player. Matt Savoy is supposed to be an offensive guy, though we didn't really see that all season except for the hat trick when he against the 30th or the 31st place team. I forget now, But other than that, he was invisible for pretty much the entire season. So, yeah, we should still have Ryan McLeod. We should still have Taylor Hall. I've gone into detail on that Taylor Hall, at the time of the trade, Taylor Hall was a franchise player. Adam Larson, I like Adam Larson. He's a great second pairing defenseman. I would love to see would have loved to have seen Larson and Nurse together, but he was a second pairing defenseman. You don't trade 1-for-1 a franchise player for a second pairing defenseman. You just don't, so we should still have Taylor Hall. And Kulak obviously should still be here with Skinner because that was just an atrocious trade. Just ridiculous. Absolutely, positively ridiculous. And one of the reasons why I think San Jose can steal Nurse from us, because you look at what Pittsburgh got. They traded the worst of the 2 goalies with a $5.5 million contract, and they got Bowman to throw in Kulak and a draft pick, as well as Skinner for Jari. So, massive overpay. So, with Darnell, it's like you've gone way out of your way to bash him and mine him and undervalue him. So why wouldn't a team expect to come in and get that sort of type of trade again? Because obviously Darnell has no value in Edmonton, according to the Bob Stoffers and the Toxics and Stan Bowman. So why would a team pay top dollar for him? They may want him. I have no doubt that San Jose wants him. You've heard the rumblings around the league. A number of teams want Darnell. But so we'll see. It seems like every team out there, except for Edmonton, understands what Darnell brings to the table. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. And then really, that's about it. Next week, I'm thinking we will have better idea on the new coaches and maybe some clarity on the Darnell Nurse future. But then again, the NHL just ruled against the Oilers on the Cassidy front, saying Vegas does not have to negotiate with us as long as Vegas is paying his contract. So, Vegas has the go-ahead to just cut Edmonton out now, which means we'll probably end up with Craig Berube. I like Berube as a player. I don't really have high regards to him as a coach, but he was the Toronto Maple Leafs coach, so maybe that's some bias on my part. But the one thing about Berube or Cassidy is they're going to ask this team to be physical, show grit, show passion, show emotion. Exactly what Knobloch would not ask the team to do this past season. So, yeah, it's going to, does Berube come here if Bowman trades out Nurse? And from the words I'm hearing, they're going to get rid of Henrik, which I do agree with. Henrik slowed down. He's lost a few steps. He probably needs to go to a non-playoff team to finish off his career. But, what else do we have for physicality? Like Bowman and Jackson, they shipped everybody out. They shipped out all our physicality. So we got one player on the farm, from what I hear, that can come in, and that's it. So I don't know how appealing the Edmonton coaching is going to be to Berube with such a diminished roster, because he just went through this in Toronto where it was just offense, and that's how the guys wanted to play, and they didn't even make the playoffs. And, the way it's shaping up, I'm not comfortable saying we're going to make the playoffs next year. We're obviously lots of time to see in moves and have to judge on those moves, but as it stands right now, I'm not 100% sure we make the playoffs next year. Because you cannot win in the NHL playing offense. And if you have none of the other elements and dimensions that make for a winning team, you're on the outside looking in. Defeatist attitude, you can say it, but I'm just calling it as I see it. Basic common sense, people. Anyway, that's my video for today. If you like the video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share. It does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe. Costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this on Rumble or Instagram, please follow my channels. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Not only does it get us interacting, it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.